And welcome back to Politics Unplugged on this Sunday. Equal Pay Day is this Tuesday, April 2nd. That's the day that symbolizes how far into the current year women must work to earn what men earned last year. This week, the Colorado Senate will also debate the Equal Pay Act. Earlier in the week, Trujillo took a look at how the bill would work.
The Equal Pay Act could have many positive impacts on the state should it make it to the governor's desk. So what's the holdup? Why isn't this happening already? Well, Charlotte Sweeney of the Colorado Women's Bar Association is here to break down some of these answers for us. But first and foremost, why is this not happening already?
Well, it is state by state. Colorado is coming along kind of here midstream. There's been a few states ahead of us, California, New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts. But state by state, everyone is realizing this is more of a states' rights issue. The federal law is not working. The Federal Equal Pay Act has been in effect since =63,
right, and
the pay gap is not closing.
And it's businesses primarily who are the opposition here. What are is it the litigation part that causes anxiety for businesses?
I think more so it's just the uncertainty of something new. Anytime something that comes along with some regulations involved, there's an immediate knee-jerk reaction to that's too hard, that's too difficult. This is a really moderate equal pay bill with very limited penalties if a violation. So we like to characterize it as a bill that has common sense measures that are actually going to do something to fix the problem instead of just penalize when we see one.
What are those common sense solutions? What do you mean by that?
One that's a primary issue that's perpetuating the pay gap is a reliance on prior pay history. So when an employer interviews a new employee and asks that employee what their prior pay is, women are automatically and immediately penalized because there is a pay gap. So the women are forced to say a lower rate, and the new employer, being a savvy business person, offers a rate just slightly higher. For a man coming in, he was coming from a higher rate and therefore gets a higher rate. So even employers with the best intentions sometimes perpetuate that pay gap. This bill would eliminate an employer's right to ask that information.
They could not ask at all.
They cannot ask. The employee can volunteer that information and may want to in some cases.
Another issue is that all jobs be posted in order to expand the potential applicant pool. That's not happening now?
No, it's definitely not. And that is aimed at the predominant thing that happens in businesses where just by word of mouth position openings are filled, and women go in and say, oh, I'd like to apply for that. Oh, sorry, we didn't know it's been filled, next time. And what this does is say you don't have to post it, you just have to announce it. So for small employers, maybe that's just in the break room, but you announce that there's a position open. That allows everybody the chance to apply, and then the employer gets more candidates and can pick the best candidate.
So right now, if a woman figures out that she's not being paid equally, is there anything she can do about it?
There are remedies in place. There's the Federal Equal Pay Act if there's enough employees at the work site. The problem is the Equal Pay Act, the Federal Equal Pay Act, has a giant loophole where all of these claims are being lost. So this bill closes that loophole and says, employers, it's fine to pay people differently for valid reasons, but you need to articulate what they are, and they need to fit in. And we spent a lot of time working with the business community on identifying the factors they want to rely on in jobs, and those are listed as exemptions in the statute.
There's also a requirement that male and female pay be comparable, be equal, with only a few exceptions. That's part of this bill as well?
Yeah, those are the defenses. So if training, experience, education, those are all reasons to pay people differently. Geographic location. We met with the restaurant industry and they were talking about shift work, and we thought, well, that's important and that's a good idea. So we added in different shifts can be paid differently. So we really feel we've gone over and above trying to accommodate the business community in terms of everything they can put forward that they'd want to rely on, because really what this is aimed to do is close the unintentional pay gap that's developed over time through kind of the systemic problem in the system where women continue to be paid less.
And so, I mean, barring the obvious of, I mean, it seems silly that this doesn't happen currently. What are the ramifications for women not being paid equally? I mean, what is it that people aren't seeing out there?
They're striking. It's really something when you talk to people about it, they sit there with their mouth open. For a millennial, that's the figure I like to give, women are losing over $1 million by the time they retire.
Wow.
So for millennials, that really hits home. But it definitely affects women of color more so. Hispanic women are making 53 cents on the dollar to a white male. So we've got a lot of ground to cover.
Sure.
And the nice thing is closing the pay gap will just incentivize the economy. We've got estimates from economists that it'll pump $9 billion into the Colorado economy each year.
Wow.
When a business does pay equity, for every 7% increase in gender equality in the workplace, there's a 3% increase in revenue.
Okay, so I know this comes up before the legislature this week. We will all be watching to see what happens with this. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.